You know, I am going to leave this up for a second, because listen to this. This is what really annoys the hell out of me. Recent research suggests that probiotics can significantly contribute to maintaining a healthy gut membrane by influencing the tight junctions I've been talking about for years now, which are the proteins that hold intestinal cells together. They're the small leucine-rich proteins that are the gooey stuff that keep you from having leaky gut. When you get leaky gut, you are open to invasion of literally anything. Anything can invade you, because the gaps in where the membrane's supposed to be that's stopping, there are holes in there, and it leaks right in there. So that is like a global issue causing leaky gut. All right, there's another issue where it's not the tight membranes, it's just a specific membrane doesn't have the ability, and every membrane has a different chemistry. That's why there's 100 different cancers. It's every one of them is membrane invasion, 100%. If it doesn't, and they show the membrane, it says stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and it breaks into the good stuff down below, and then it starts growing on its own big tumors. The membrane is the key, and the membrane is only supplied by probiotics to keep it healthy. Now listen to this. It says recent research says that they're talking about tight junctions. Yes. That's when you have chronic forever. You're easily invaded. Yeah, anytime I get near something, I get sick. Well, you got a problem with your leaky gut, and you probably got a problem with your digestive system, and you don't poop right. That's the key. If you poop good every day, nice, consistent, you know, Marguerite calls it a sausage. Her son had autism. It was terrible. And he's doing pretty good now, because now he's got his digestive system working. And they're doing this now. Anyway, they're talking about leaky gut. Well, it creates a short chain fatty acids, which are the polypeptide chains, which is what makes all the stuff in your body function. And it further strengthens the gut bacteria. However, more research is needed to fully understand the specific mechanisms involved and the optimal probiotic strains for different conditions. They know now that there is certain probiotic strains for different conditions. An exact strain treats an exact condition. Well, what does that mean? That means if we had a database and everybody was healthy, was here, and you're up here with something, now you got an issue, or you're down here with something. All we need is a database. And listen to this. Oh, more study, more. This is, how many billions of dollars have they spent on medical? And listen to this. In 2011, the National Institute of Health supported research on the microbiome, includes a study of probiotics. In 2011. Probiotics are live microorganisms that can improve health by regulating the immune system and competing with harmful bacteria. You have flesh-eating bacteria in you right now. And if you don't, you are sick. All right? You have flesh-eating bacteria in you right this instant, and if you don't have it, you got problems. And why? Because you are dying. You are dying second by second by second. Cells are continuously dying. And somebody's got to eat them up. And that's what these flesh-eating bacteria do. They come eat them up and bring them over and dump them out. This is a very, very sophisticated system. And they just don't understand it. And this is 2011. That's 14 years ago, 13, 14 years ago. And yeah, we need more research, more. Give us another couple $100 billion. Maybe we can figure something out in another 20, 30 years. This is a serious problem. And it's against the law in the United States to have a fecal matter transplant. And it fixes you just like that with almost any condition. Let me step back from that. The research shows that it's beneficial. That's not my words. It's the research shows that it's beneficial, at least for most conditions. All right, I never want to tell you that anything is a cure, because I don't know. You may even get sick from it. I don't know. But if we don't test it and we don't figure it out, nobody's going to know. So that's just the law. I'm 100% research. I never tell anybody to do anything. It's just research. But it has to be done. And this has to be done. If it was 11 years ago, they knew this stuff was good, or it could be good, or it might be good, or there's even a chance it could be good. What did they spend all this money for? What have they spent all this money for? And they still don't have any cures that I can see. You know, I mean, they have one here and one there, but, you know, the vaccines are good. I have no problem with vaccines. But once they give you a vaccine, it starts to attack your body. If you don't have anything to fight off, you're in trouble, yes. You don't have any guys to fight at all. But the guys that are going to fight are the probiotics. You have to know what bacteria you have in your body before you get your vaccine and what you have after. And if it depleted something, you need to fix it back up again. It's simple as that. Vaccines are very, very good. But you have to have good bacteria to start with so that it doesn't attack you. Once it attacks you and you have no resistance to it whatsoever, and some people have none, or it leaks into your loose membranes where it shouldn't. Primarily it's when you don't have any resistive bacteria in your body to fight back against it to make the antibodies. That's what happens. You have resistive bacteria in you, and it sees a threat. It attacks the threat, and it realizes if I program this way, and I program this way, and I add a couple of polypeptides over here, and a couple of enzymes over there, I kill that thing. That's how you get immunity. And it makes a program. It literally makes a program. And it inserts it into your DNA. It's a program that inserts into your DNA and says, if you see this chemical signature again, send out this group of chemicals and it will die. Okay, my friends, I am getting slaughtered with the questions about this virus, all these viruses now. Everybody's talking about viruses. And of course, the vaccines and all these kind of things. Now, I am strictly a researcher. I don't give any medical information, do this or do that. However, I do the research, and I am researching this new virus they're talking about, and I'm going to be showing some more information in a second. But first of all, what is a virus? A lot of people don't even have any idea what they're talking about when they say a virus. What does it mean, a virus? Does it come in and bite you? Does it come in and explode your brain or something? Well, let's talk about what a virus is. And this is from mainstream. I have a little bit of a different opinion, not too much. Viruses are microscopic pathogens. They are so small you can't imagine. And they lack machinery. They don't have any really... They're ribosomes. Let me just start with that. If you're any kind of a medical person, they're ribosomes. And I will tell you, ribosomes can kill you or they can heal you. They're the same thing, but one of them does destructive things and one of them does good things. And they all come from some form of bacteria. The only place I can think of a ribosome I know the ribosomes come from bacteria. Now, I say a virus is nothing more than a destructive ribosome. So there must have been a bacteria somewhere that created that virus. Now, I work with all of the ancient rocks. They call it archaea bacteria. So I have it all over me. I don't wear any special things of anything. And I got stuff that came through space that's here, and it's biology. I got stuff that's biology that came from thousands of years ago, and I'm cutting them, and I'm into them all the time. So I could create some kind of crazy virus if something was back in there that was still viable. But it has to be from a bacteria in my mind. So let's start with that. The virus just doesn't pop up from nothing. They have to come from a bacteria, but it is a destructive virus. I mean, a destructive bacteria. Now, is it just a mutated bacteria that turned it destructive, or is it supposedly there to be destructive? It is a whole thing on its own that is a destructive thing. It never mutated. It just was supposed to be there, and it was created by a bacteria. That's possible. But they say it has no machinery of itself. It's the same thing with a ribosome. A ribosome is just an enzyme. And the same thing, the virus is nothing more than an enzyme. And it goes in and it breaks up your programming of your cell that is your normal bacteria. It breaks that program and inserts its own program, and it says, now start making me and send me out so I can take over a bunch of your other cells. So it just reinserts its program. Viruses are programs, and so are enzymes. Enzymes have a bunch of different processes. I'll go over that, I'm sure. So it has no machinery, so it takes over the machinery of the cells that it invades. Viruses have genetic material, DNA or RNA, enclosed in a sheath, a protein. They attach to the specific receptors with a trigger on the surface of the host cell using proteins on their outer surface that match the receptor on the host cell surface. So they come in and they just, and really they dig through your membranes. All right, if it allows it to come through, your membrane has to stop it. That's what the membranes are for. Viruses come up, well, you know, there's a couple of things they may be self-generating from inside your own cellular network. That I haven't really explored. But normally I see everything as an invasion through a membrane. And that's why you have 100 cancers. Because everything has its own chemistry in the membrane. That's the only thing every one of these organs has in common is the membrane. Everything else, there's a different chemistry completely. Different fabric, different muscles, different tissue, different tendons, but they all get cancer. Blood cells even get cancer because they all have membranes. So I always see everything as a penetration through the membrane as the attacker. However, they could be internal and happen. Anyway, they hijack host cells. See, once they're in the host cell, they start making the virus. Instead of squirting out the ribosomes that they normally would squirt out, they could be good or bad, because they do both. But the virus is a new thing that the body hasn't seen before, and it starts squirting those out, and then the body has to react. That's when you get sick from a virus, because you have, you can call a virus a lot of different things. All right, now, as viruses replicate, they cause cell death. Now, here's the key. They're replicating, yes. Their chemistry is going to be different. It says they cause cell death. Well, why? Because it directly, to burst the cell, which is lysis, it snaps open the membrane, basically. It bursts. And what's holding it together? The membrane. All right? Or interfering with the cell's essential functions. So it gets inside and it changes how that cell works, because it's basically a program. The damage weakens the affected tissue or organ, impairing its function. When they say it's interfering with the cell's essential functions, when they burst and the lysis, it kills it, it dies. Well, it can get infected and not die. It's just like us. But I believe it's still a membrane issue. It doesn't have the protection it needs in that surrounding envelope to protect it. So, okay, so some cases viruses can cause cellular mutations or change that may lead to long-term health issues. Well, yes, but like I say, if you can't maintain that barrier and you don't have the bacteria and the enzymes, you're going to be sick forever. You're going to have what's called a pre-existing condition, because you're open. Your membrane junctions are not tight sometimes. You have loose junctions. There's several different layers of junctions, and they all have different chemistry. And if any of that stuff is not right, the chemistry won't be right. Then you have a pre-existing condition. They say, well, we're always susceptible. That guy gets sick every time you walk around. Well, and another guy's there, he never gets sick, because he's got the right enzymes in this envelope. And I've been dealing a little bit with people in Russia, and they understand this. And they allow certain research that is not allowed here in the United States, dealing with human tissues and so forth. But anyway, viruses can cause cell mutations, yes, because they're reprogramming. All right, the immune system responds. What does the immune system do? The body's immune system. And what is the immune system? It's the interstitium layer of membrane. It says it recognizes the infection trying to get in and activates immune cells in the interstitial fluid-filled highway to fight off the virus. They come and they actually attack, and I can prove this. It includes production of antibody kills. It all of a sudden turns on a set of mechanisms that are driven by enzymes. Enzymes work instantaneously. And they do thousands, well, millions of actual chemical processes per second versus the same process would take years. So they work with half-lives and they just kill things instantly if you have the right bacteria that has created the right products to create these killer cells. All right, so the body recognizes it. It goes into production mode. It starts producing these T cells, antibodies, inflammatory cytokines, all that stuff to destroy the infected cells. So your body is being invaded, and it says, all right, I'll work with you guys. I'll go out and do what you're telling me to do. Well, we have guys that say, oh, we got traitors over there, kill them. So we're killing our own cells, which is good. That's important. And then you got to have another group of cells that are good for us that are flesh-eating cells. They come over and eat the cells that these killer T cells killed. It's a really neat process, but you have to be able to get them before they get too invasive. It's like the fires in California. You got to knock that stuff down too fast, but the winds and so forth, it's just like this. If you had cuts all over your body and were invaded all over your body, you may not be able to survive because there's just too much invasion at one time. But this and that, you should be able to kill them if you have the right bacteria in your body. Now, they're talking about spread of infection, all this stuff. All they're talking about is what happens to you. Well, the immune response causes fever because they're fighting. There's actual chemical things breaking down. What happens is the enzymes create heat because they're breaking things down. It's just like when you make cement, concrete, you put the stuff together, it starts to get hotter than hell. Well, the same thing here. It comes over, and the fever and so forth actually kills things because the enzymes can't work at a certain temperature. It's all working with these enzymes, and that's the bacteria. No. So you get fever, you get inflammation, obviously, fatigue because you just don't have enough energy you're trying to devote it to do this job. You get pain because it's swelling and all that stuff. All part of the body's effort to eliminate the infection, to go and kill it. The immune response is essential for fighting the virus, and you have no immune response if you haven't got the bacteria because you don't have the enzymes, which are the ribosomes. All right, the resulting inflammation, immune activity can contribute to symptoms and tissue damage seen during an infection. It just, you can't fight back. All right, the spread of the infection. As the virus replicates, spread throughout the body, cause more widespread damage. It should never spread because you should have had it controlled there, and you should have plenty of other fluids in your body. You have 4 times as much of the fluids that kill these things as you even do have blood, lymph, and these viscous fluids in your body. There's 4 times as much of that as there is blood. And those are the things that protect you in the fluid-filled highway. Every single tissue has a membrane. Every membrane has that fluid-filled reservoir around it to fight off anything coming from any direction. Very sophisticated and very not understood. All right, again, not a doctor, not telling you to do anything or not do anything. But now they're talking about viruses and chronic infections where you just can't get rid of it. It just won't go away. And there's one that's called C. difficile, which is Clostridium difficile, which invades your guts, basically. And you can't get rid of it. It just keeps growing back and growing back. And guess the only way you can get rid of it, basically, the best way right now is a fecal transplant, where you get fecal matter, which is poop, from a very healthy donor that has all of the bacteria in it, and then that bacteria starts to grow, and just like that you get better. And it's 95% or so effective at treating that That's what they say. That's in the medical journals. You have to look it up for yourself. I'm not telling you yes or no about anything, but that's what they say. And, well, hold on a second. Let's see what they do say, just to be sure I'm not telling you something wrong. Okay, my friends, again, I am not a doctor. I'm not telling you to do anything or not. But I had a friend that almost died from this C. difficile. And this goes back 10 or 12 years ago. And he actually cured himself. And the hospital told him he would die. There was nothing they could do for him because his body had gone against, his entire body had reacted against itself. They call it a cytokine storm, which means that what they actually did to him was they killed all the bacteria in his body because he had Lyme disease. And it was getting worse and worse, and they kept giving him more and more, and they started giving him intravenous, I think, IVs of antibiotics, killed all the bacteria in his body, so his body couldn't fight anything. So everything attacked him. That's a cytokine storm, when your whole body just goes crazy. And they said, you know, you got a very short time, so get your stuff in order. We can't get this under control. Now, and he's perfectly healthy today. I'm not going to say anything about what he did, because I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to say anything, but I can tell you, what happened was he had to get his gut working again correctly. That's what he did to get going. Because he said this, and this is what all these people that have these long-term diseases seem to have gastrointestinal problems. All the kids that have autism, they say the worst is their guts. They just all kinds of problems. And actually, I worked with people that had autism, and the first thing I said, how does he poop? And she says, oh, the autism causes all kinds of problems in their guts. And I said, no, it's the guts, I think, might cause the problem in the result is autism. I said, you got to get, and you know, we worked on that, and there was a little success there. And again, I am not a doctor. I just make research. I'm an observational person. But this can go really quick, rapid progression. My father-in-law died within 24 hours from sepsis. You can get sepsis, and severe difficile infection lead to sepsis. A systemic inflammation. And this is multi-organ failures. Every organ has its own chemistry. They treat them with so many antibiotics, it kills everything. And it can happen just like that. You can get this extreme reaction and die. Now listen to this. When a person gets radiation sickness, they treat them with a couple of different things. But they have to treat them immediately, because when you get an extreme dose of radiation at one time, it kills all your bacteria. It doesn't kill you. It kills the bacteria in you, and then you get nausea, you get vomiting, you get diarrhea, you get heartburn, you get dizziness, you get all those things, which is from a pulse of high energy. And then your body will rebuild its bacteria within a few days. But some people linger on and on because they just can't, their bacteria can't come back to its levels again. That's high dose radiation pulsed. Then you have long-term radiation, which just kills more and more and more of your bacteria and just keeps beating you up more and more and more. And you get more and more weak and chronically ill. And then, of course, in the middle of an atomic bomb, you get splattered. Okay, this is for RFK Jr. I just talked to you about Clostridium difficile. It's deadly. Listen to this. Typically, this is the treatment for it. It involves the use of antibiotics to target the bacteria and manage systems. The antibiotics kill a broad range of probiotics too. They don't just kill one range. The approach to treatment can vary depending upon the severity, whether it's a first-time infection or a recurrent one. Patient's overall health risk. Here's a breakdown of the main treatment options. Listen to this now. For a mild to moderate case, first-time Lyme treatment include oral vaccine, commonly used to treat C. difficile because it specifically targets the infection in the colon. There's all kinds of things in your colon. It targets a lot of things. Fixdecamycin, whatever the hell that is another and oral antibiotic, so you take it in orally, and has been shown to be effective in treating C. difficile, and is sometimes preferred because it has a lower risk of reoccurrence compared to other antibiotics. Other antibiotics are going to give you other conditions as well. Metronidazole is formerly used, but now less common, also known as flagyl or whatever it is, was once a standard treatment for mild cases, but is now generally used less frequently due to concern about resistance and its reduced effectiveness. Now, for severe cases, what are you going to do for somebody that's really severe? Those with sepsis, all of these colon perforations, all that stuff, intravenous. What are you going to do? You're going to give them intravenous antibiotics, along with oral vaccine may be required. All right, oral, in severe cases, combination of all these things may be given to treat the infection. That's going to wipe the guy out in a few minutes. Reoccurring C. difficile. Listen to this. These infections reoccur, especially in people who had previous infections, prolonged antibiotic treatment, treatments with reoccurrence, repeated antibiotic therapy, a longer course, you just keep giving them more and more and more. Fecal microbiota transplant. Well, guess what? Why is this not used first? It has become increasingly common and highly effective. They've known this for 20 years. Well, they've known it since the great emperors of China. They used to give it, they call it yellow soup, and you would actually eat somebody else's poop. All right, fecal matter, and that's what they're doing now, orally now. Fecal matter transplant is transplanting fecal matter from a healthy donor into a patient's colon. That's at one time. Now they're doing it orally through pills to restore the balance of gut bacteria and eliminate the older growth of C. difficile. Now they're doing all kinds of things. But guess what? This was against the law, literally against the law. And I'm going to tell you what, this will work for cancer too, I think. I'm not saying it will or won't. It should be tested for that. That's what I do as research. But look at what it says about fecal matter transplant. You see how they want to go through all of these rounds of antibiotics, and they're going to destroy you with antibiotics. Listen to this. The recovery rate for fecal matter transplant in C. difficile, overall cure rate after a single FMT report to be 80 to 90%. Out the door, have a little poop, have a nice day. But no, it was against the law. And it still is. You can't use it for anything but this, I believe. I don't think you can. Well, I know you can't. My cousin is a pharmacist. He was a pharmacist. He's just retired. But I was just talking to him, and he wanted his friend wanted a fecal matter transplant for something that was killing him. And they wouldn't allow it here in the United States. So he had to go to Canada to get it. And he tried to get his insurance company to pay. They said, no, it's not approved treatment, so they wouldn't pay. I'm telling you, this is just horrible. Kennedy has to step in on this. And like I say, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I've been looking at some research that's being done by the Russians. They're interested in my research. I'm interested in theirs. And there's one guy that appears to fully understand this interstitial fluid. This is what you got to replace. And he's actually taking it from cadavers and putting it in people. And I guess they pop right back. I mean, everything comes back. Now, fecal matter transplant, that's pretty good because then you get the bacteria to start creating it. But a complete flushing of the lymph system seems to be, that's what he's doing. Well, I don't want to talk about that. I don't know exactly what he is doing. But it involves that viscous fluid. Let's just go with that. So anyway, this medicine they're doing now is a disgrace. They don't understand how the enzymes from the bacteria affect your health. Without the bacteria, you don't have the enzymes. We are eating things like glyphosate and stuff like that. Kills bacteria. It's made to kill bacteria and plant life. They say, well, we're not plants, it won't kill us. It kills the plants in us that are making us healthy. And it's just nibbling away at them, nibbling away. Your body's continuously trying to make it back again, but it's just a continuous battle, because we're continually assaulting the bugs that live in our body. Basically, that's it. Without those bugs, you are done.